What's up, guys? So I just bought The Searcher. I got it on DVD, and when this came out, I was like, I think I'll pass. I've seen so many documentaries, and it after a while it just becomes like over and over. You see the same stuff all the time. This one, I knew they've been talking about for a while, and they said this one is just going to be like the be all, end all, the best. And I heard a lot about it. People said I should watch it, but I'm thinking, do I really need to? Wasn't that into it. It was on HBO, and I heard good things about it. It looked a little interesting. I saw a few clips, but I just wasn't too thrilled. And so I talked to some people on my Instagram, and they convinced me that I need to see it. So I said, hey, what the heck? I went on my day off. I picked it up from the store. And so I sat home that night and I watched it. Now, I have mixed emotions about it. Ultimately, I was really disappointed with it. And here's why. I was in there and I looked at the back of the cover and I was so surprised. Like, this is one of the reasons that I was like, okay, I'm getting it. It's over 200 minutes, like over 3 hours. I'm like, okay, man, I can't go wrong with this. You know what I mean? Like, they put a lot of effort into it, and it's 3 hours. I'm not going to waste my money, So, okay, so I get home. Later that night, I watch it, and I'm just so blown away by the detail that they put into it. They start off from his early childhood. They show like the time they take to tell the story of Elvis, his upbringing, really gets you involved, and like you're really in there, like with old footage, not even Elvis footage, like old footage from back in the day in the South. They let you know what the environment was like, what the environment Elvis was in. His dad, they told about how Vernon went to jail. He was only in there for 6 months. They talk about him and Gladys having to bond closer because of that. And they talk about his early life, about how he was driving a truck. And one of the real surprising things is they have so many, even throughout the whole movie, not just at the beginning, they have so many clips of Elvis talking about his early life, his whole life, like stuff that I've never heard before. And so basically they walk you through the story of Elvis's life, and which sounds great, right? With incredible footage. And for those of you who've seen it, I know you like how they take you through Graceland. It's like a time warp. Each generation or each time period, like the 50s, 60s, 70s, is like a time warp. Like, they take you through the house. They actually play it from one of his TVs in the living room. It's just really cool. The detail they put in, I really appreciated it. They have tons of old footage, like footage, black and white stuff from his, the life back then, how they lived, like the environment, what society was like. Elvis inspiration from for music, and how he learned from black artists and white artists and who he was influenced by. In summary, they do a great job. So I'm thinking, oh man, this is gonna be awesome because they put a ton of work in it. But then I start to get into the mid 50s, like 56, where he starts to make it. And trust me, until this point, it doesn't let you down at all. And I was like, yes. But here's the thing that I started to dislike. They don't have, like, they build up this great performer, but they do not show him performing. They'll have like little clips here and there of the official footage. And I'm like, okay, well, they're probably going to get to like a song here or there. Not that the whole thing is a concert. But like, if you're talking about the greatest entertainer of all time, don't you think you should have like maybe at least 3/4 of a song or two? Can't we see some of the Dorsey brothers? Like, all we have is like just talking about him. and what he did and what was going on. And oh, he was on Ed Sullivan, and they show you like 5 seconds of it. So I'm like, come on, like you need to add a little more of the meat and potatoes of it, not just the talk. But the talk is great. You know what I'm saying? And so also the footage that they use is very old looking. Like, I'm not talking about the maybe the home movies and this and that, but the footage of the official footage, like the TV performances. It's like they purposely made it look even older. It's like they got a VHS tape, recorded it, and just, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was worse than official releases. So I'm like, what the heck? Then I'm like, well, maybe they are just trying to date it and really get you in the mood. And then so we get into the 60s. Okay, so for the first part of this documentary, really biography, is awesome. His early life through the 50s is just incredible. And I mean that by the detail. They show you lost footage of him performing, like on the Louisiana hayride. They tell you tons of stories about how he got on the hayride, because Colonel Parker actually got him onto it, and it was very hard to do so. And so, okay, that brings us to the 60s. I'm thinking, okay, they'll do more in the 60s. So they got the comeback, coming back from the army, and they do great. I'm still, optimistic. I'm liking it, and they do a great job talking about Elvis's comeback album, Elvis is Back. I really like it. They have all this footage that I've never seen before, but then I'm like, why didn't they put some effort or money into restoring some of the footage where they show him getting on the train from Memphis to going to California, where they have the interviews that he did on that train? I'm like, whoa, I've never seen this before. But it's such horrible quality. Like, if you're going to make a definitive biography on Elvis, can't you take a little more time, spend a little more money, and just upgrade the footage a little? Like, it's so hard to where you kind of like got to squint. Like, but it's incredible footage, but it's just like thrown in there. That's one of the things I don't like about Elvis Enterprise. It's like they got the best performer, the biggest prize, and they just kind of give it to you. They don't like wrap it up. They don't shine it up. They don't, shine up that diamond. They don't, you know what I mean? It's like, there's like, here, what? Elvis is the greatest performer of all times. And then they're like, well, here, there you go. Well, can you like make it not so blurry? Can you like increase, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you watch this, you're going to have that in mind too. Like, couldn't you just make it a little better as far as the video quality? Can't we, when we see the footage of him performing on Dorsey and Ed Sullivan, can't we like maybe see a song or two? It's going to take like 6 minutes if you do 2 songs, 3 songs. You know what I mean? Not that this has to be a concert documentary, but, let us see what you're talking about. So that's something I didn't like. So, starting with like 62, this is the part where it starts to lose me. I really like how they talk about the struggle that Elvis was going through, not being able to get good music. I really like how they showed attention to detail and things that in the past they wouldn't talk about. Like maybe the darker side of Colonel Parker, how for money reasons, he wouldn't let Elvis get good songs because they had to own the publishing. And especially in the 60s, that's when the songwriters were really realizing what they had and how they can make money from the publishing on their songs. And Colonel was like, no, we're taking half that. And all these good songwriters are like, no, we're not doing that. We want to keep it. And Elvis didn't write songs, so he got crappy songs. And they also talked about how Elvis, as we know, relied on just soundtracks and with the formula that got into, and that was good. And in there you got like lost footage, home footage, the Bahamas footage in 1969. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cool, yet so disappointing because, like I said, the footage is real. Some of it is very poor, even though it's historical. And here's one of the things, the biggest point, the biggest issue I have. They act like from 62 to 77, it was all Elvis was depressed, unhappy with his career, and physically starting to fall apart. He had a quick peak with the 68 comeback, had some hits real quick, and then back to, oh, he got in Las Vegas. Yeah, but in Las Vegas, he just, was uninspired very soon. And then he got on the road, and, that's that. And, just not really any hits. We couldn't get him into the studio to record. And I'm like, guys, like, that's part of it, but that's not all of it. Like, they spend, 2 minutes on Aloha from Hawaii. Like, can't we talk more about how Elvis went on this, crazy diet to get in shape, and how he was injected with a pregnant woman's urine to, I know it's weird, and that was supposed to help him burn fat more, and then they do give a little clip of You Gave Me a Mountain, but that was from the rehearsal footage, and it's they could have just done so much more, and it was only 15 seconds. I'm like, really, guys, this is the best we could get? They do give a lot of, they do spend a little time on the comeback special, but then again, the footage that they show, it's like I threw in a VHS copy of the comeback special that is 25 years old on an old TV, and I'm like, what's up with the quality on this? And then they just go right past that into, oh, Elvis is depressed in the 70s, and it's not working out for him. He's not getting any songs. He's uninspired. He's not happy. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, really, guys? There's more to the story. They could leave everything in as it was, but my recommendation, my review, it needed to have more of the highs. Talk about where he got back into the studio in '67. And 66 and did Indescribably Blue. If Tomorrow Wasn't Such a Long Time. Guitar Man. Those type of songs. And then spend a little more time on how he won a Grammy in 67 for How Great Thou Art. How about that? 68. Show us some good footage. Play a song, okay? He's the greatest of all time. Let's see. If you're a kind of casual fan, maybe not too familiar with Elvis, and you're watching this, you go away with well, I saw that picture you showed, or I saw this, little snippet of an interview from one of his friends, but let's see the goods, And I didn't really like that. And you come away with it starts so exciting, I'm so looking forward to this. It starts off so the attention to detail in the early years, his teen years, and all the old footage, it brings you back in it and really lets you know his history. And then it's once you get into the early 60s, it's depressed, not successful, can't get a song, can't do this. Elvis starts to get into drugs more because he's sad, and he can't get any good songs because of the Colonel. And then I do like, though, how they talk about how Colonel Parker was an illegal citizen, and that's why he couldn't go overseas. And that's how they get into the point of, so Colonel came up with this grand idea that we'll do a satellite, and and that's how we'll do it. And then they do have some interesting stuff, and I hope this is not boring. I'm just telling you, I watched it 2 nights ago. This is all freestyle. And then they do have some very interesting stuff in the 70s part of it, where they'll have some fan footage of him singing what is the name of the song? American Trilogy. There's some good stuff in there, but it's other than that song, there's some just little clips of him on tour. But this is all the detail they give in the 70s. It's 71, 175 shows. Then they go 1972, 180 shows. They don't talk about Madison Square Garden, the success of that. They use crappy footage just talking over part of it. 73, we got Aloha from Hawaii, and that was it. And then 74, 180 concerts. 75, 150. 76, 100. It's like, okay, yeah, but there's more to that. Okay, can we talk about some of like the good albums like Elvis Today? And I know this isn't going to be like a 40-hour documentary, but it's like you're like depressed watching it, And now with this, one thing I do like is they have people narrating it throughout the whole thing. Priscilla, for one, which I can handle. She always wants to sneak her way into every single money-making opportunity, or, that's another topic. That they got Tom Petty talking, they got Bruce Springsteen adding all good points. They got some old clips from Colonel Parker talking about his side of it. It's a great documentary, it tells a great story, but they need to talk more about Elvis's success in Madison Square Garden. The 69 comeback, that was basically just sped through. And I think you can see what I mean by this. Like, you got the greatest performer of all time, sold more records than anybody. Spend some more time on the high notes. I like everything they did. It was really good. But I don't know who told them not to use any good footage. I don't know who told them not to put one complete song in there. I don't know who told them to make it all on the negative side. They're like, this is about Elvis the artist. You don't get a good... They need to say, this is about Elvis the discouraged, disappointed artist. And yeah, Elvis could have done way more. But talk more about what he did do, So I'll wrap it up with that. And I got the DVD, and I'm like, okay, well... Let's look at the special features. Maybe they got some cool stuff in there. The whole thing is a sit-down interview with Priscilla Presley, Jerry Schilling, and this other guy that they had. I'm like, really? So it's kind of like the typical Elvis production, EPE production. It's like they got the best product and they use half effort. Now, I do recommend that you get this for the reasons I said. There's tons of footage that you've never seen in there. They tell a great story, although it's one side of the coin. They're definitely looking at the glass half empty rather than half full. Tell the honest, accurate story. You know what I mean? So I hope this didn't bore you too much. There's not a lot of things I can really put in here. This is my honest evaluation. I did a poll on Instagram, and about 60% of the people said they loved it as it is, and 40 was like, no, there's room for more. If I were to add a few things, add some good footage, upgraded footage, and talk more of the high points. Talk about 4 sold out shows in Madison Square Garden. Talk about, Aloha from Hawaii some more. And even the later 70s wasn't that bad. It was bad, but, he pulled off some good shows. Talk about how he, was sick and had some struggles with things, but he always tried to, majority of the time give a good show and this and that. And I think a funny thing is they don't mention Linda Thompson. They don't mention Ginger. It's all Priscilla, all and all negative, pretty much. It's such a good. I give it a 7 out of 10. I give it a 10 out of 10 for the effort they put in of telling the story, showing you footage of like the 50s, of the 40s, and give you a good, they spent a lot of time on Elvis's. I give them a 10 out of 10 for their attention to detail. I give them, it's kind of like they spent so much time, and by the year 1962 in the thing, they're like, okay guys, we need to hurry this up. It was kind of like that. Alright, well, just comment down below. Tell me what you thought. The people who watch it, let me know your points of view. The hardcore fans are kind of like, I think, would agree with me in this. It's like I wanted to have the definitive biography, you know, with a few songs here and there, you know, the highlights of maybe the 50s performances, one or two. You know, like they do show If I Could Dream towards the end, but like give us a couple songs from each era. It'd only add like 10 minutes to the thing, to the you know, production. I know this is HBO aired, but like show us, the people, how good he is. There's a lot of attention to detail, but then again, not enough of the right. And they look at it half empty rather than half full. So this is going on 21 minutes now. Thanks for listening so long, to the people who actually did. And give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And I look forward to seeing what you guys think about this and if you agree with me. I guess that wraps it up. Thanks.